Alrighty, welcome back everyone. So obviously with Dokkan being in such a dry spell right now, a lot of people are looking forward to the global Dokkan campaign, and today we're going to go ahead and join in on the fun as we try to predict some of the themes or characters that we could hopefully see come to the campaign as a whole. I'm very excited for this today. I hope you guys are excited as well, and of course, as always, I hope you guys will enjoy the video. If you do, show your support down below, comment down below your thoughts, let us know what do you want to see as a part of the global Dokkan campaign. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get right into this. Now, the first thing I want to go ahead and explain before we go any further in terms of talking about possible ideas and what the community has to say about this is I want to go ahead and explain what is the global Dokkan campaign, because even now, like near the end of June, there's still people asking the question of what is this campaign? How come I've never heard of it before? All of these good questions. And really, the answers to all of them can be explained when we look at the schedule update that was shown to us during the Golden Week celebration. So last month during the celebration, we got this whole kind of graphic from the development team. As you can see, it's basically showing us how the schedule is going to be changing going towards the future for Dokkan after the sync up for the global and the JP schedules. For those who don't remember, the schedules were synced up during the Worldwide Celebration campaign last year in 2024. So after the unification, this is what the schedule is going to be going towards the future. Obviously, for the beginning of the year, January to February, we have the Dokkan Supreme Celebration, which basically, simply put, it's our anniversary, right? So, you know, at this time, like at the beginning of this year, we had the 10th anniversary. Next year at this time will be the 11th anniversary, so on and so forth. So very straightforward. Obviously, you know, Dokkan Supreme Celebration, that's what this is going to be, is the anniversary. I don't know why they didn't call it the anniversary, but it's perfectly fine. The next one is the global Dokkan campaign from July to August. So obviously the next big kind of a campaign to look forward to. And when it comes to why we've never like heard of this before, it's because it's the first of its name. It's the first of its kind. We've never had the global Dokkan campaign in the past. So this is very unique in that no one has ever experienced this before. There's never been any precedent for it. So we have no idea what to fully, truly expect in terms of what is or off limits or everything like that. We have no idea what to expect, but this is the next big campaign. And then after that, we do have one campaign down here in September or October that we don't know the name of, but we do know it's going to be coming. Now, obviously, when you look at the before kind of a image right here, the before the unification, everything, you know, the anniversary for the JP side kind of went into the whole Supreme Celebration here. Right here, you have the Tanabata campaign, which was celebrated on the JP side of the game. That was like our thank you celebration. That's going into the new campaign, and then really it's the combination of the global anniversary side and the Worldwide Celebration campaign going into the global Dokkan campaign. And as it shows at the top, like the top in bold text, you know, twice a year we're going to be getting anniversary size campaigns, one of which is the anniversary itself, and the other one is probably going to be the global Dokkan campaign. That's what a lot of people are expecting. Of course, we have no official experience with the global Dokkan campaign in the past, so everything is going to be new to us in terms of how it's going to look, how much we're going to be getting, all this sort of stuff. But still, we are expecting this to be an anniversary size campaign, especially when you look at how it's similar in the text style, the coloring scheme, and the size of the box. Like all those little like specific details, they do kind of suggest that it is going to be another kind of seriously big campaign, especially because it is halfway through the year. This is at the beginning of the year, so every 6 months, like it does kind of make sense in all those aspects. But because of that, especially with how dry Dokkan is right now, no disrespect to people who love TN and Mercenary Town stuff, but this period of Dokkan right now for June, it has been very dull. I'm not gonna lie. In terms of like an overall hype kind of factor, I don't want to get in the conversation of hype because Dokkan Tour has been going crazy all know like that whole topic. But in terms of overall excitement for the game for a lot of people, not a lot of people are feeling it right now, especially as we wait for the global Dokkan campaign. But with this whole kind of expectation in mind for this being an anniversary size campaign, a lot of people are coming up with concept ideas, different hopes and dreams, talking about different popular kind of themes for the whole thing. So it is a really popular time right now to look forward to this. Now, when we look first and foremost at what the community has to say, there are really 2 to 3 kind of popular ideas that are kind of circulating throughout the Dokkan community in terms of options. This being one of them right here. So this is, he's calling it the story of Frieza. Shout out to Passion, of course. So he's calling it the story of Frieza. Simply put, it is Namek Saga going into Resurrection of F. Now, obviously, Resurrection of F is when Frieza comes back, becomes Golden Frieza, fights Goku once again, the rematch. But yeah, this is the idea. Now, I've said in previous vids, if you guys know me, again, I'm a Namek Saga fan. I'm a Namek Saga glazer, in fact. So to see any inkling of Namek Saga potentially being a part of the global Dokkan campaign, I am putting my 100% stamp. Yes, give me that today. I need the details. I need the images. I need the animations. I need all of it injected into my brain for like the future of time. Like I need that. But obviously this is one of the popular ideas. Namek Saga is into Resurrection of F. And like when we talk about this one, obviously, again, I'm a fan of this idea because it's got Namek Saga, so what's not to love? But when we talk about it, there is some validity to this idea. The first main reason being we are due for some good Namek Saga buffs. We've gotten a lot of Namek Saga buffs, you know, throughout the past 9 to 10 months, really. But you know, basically like last October, right? Basically like that's when we started with like Dirty Fireworks Vegeta. You got Kid Gohan and Piccolo, the LR right there. You know, we had a bunch of different Easy A's and everything. So since then, we had those characters for the Namek Saga. Then 10th anniversary, we got the Easy A's for Full Power Frieza and Namek Goku. Then just now, we got the Easy A's for the AGL Ginyu and like the Ginyu Force kind of characters. But for the most part, the Namek Saga category is still pretty bad in terms of how all these characters are quality-wise, how they work together. There is still a lot of problems with the category. I already made a separate vid talking about my pain with Namek Saga, but my point is, Namek is due for a serious upgrade, for a good upgrade, and overall it's due to become a category that's actually worth running once again. It used to be pretty decent at one point in time with like Frieza and Namek Goku and some of the other characters, but now you would really be hard pressed to actually run Namek Saga as a full team, even with all the new characters, the new EZAs. It's not necessarily that ideal. So, you know, for me, for my money's worth, I would say Namek Saga is a dream come true. It's something I would love to see. Obviously, when it comes to the idea of Namek Saga, everyone is gravitating towards this Frieza versus Goku, especially potentially a Dokkan Fest Final Form Frieza. We never have had a Final Form Frieza Dokkan Fest. We have Dokkan Fest Full Power Frieza, but never Final Form, you know, skinny Frieza, right? So, you know, considering how iconic this version of Frieza is, not just in terms of Namek, but in general, right? Like, considering the iconicness of that specific form, the fact that we haven't gotten a Dokkan Fest LR of like that moment, it is appalling to me. It is ridiculous. But obviously, a lot of people are like in agreement with that. A lot of people are hoping this could potentially happen. And a lot of people are in agreement that if this were to happen, this would be a fantastic part 1. Now, part 2, that is where some people are kind of like, what's going to be part 2? This is like the main kind of idea that kind of makes the most sense for a lot of people, because it's, you know, continuing with some sort of Dragon Ball Super stuff, you know, obviously an exchange kind of idea between the Super Saiyan Blues. We got Frieza who goes into Golden Frieza, so there's different ideas like that. And of course, with some sort of theme like this, there is a lot of potential for EZAs, for upgrades, for, you know, like Part EX and everything, Prime Battle LR EZAs, you know, Super EZAs, all these other things that are very important during a campaign of this magnitude, of this potential kind of scale. So that's one of the big popular themes. You know, for me, I will say, you know, Planet Namek Saga is what's really kind of drawing me to this. If I look at movie heroes and movie bosses and stuff, they could use some buffs too. Movie bosses, I think, definitely could use some upgrades, because since the Worldwide Celebration campaign last year with all the Brolys, movie bosses hasn't really gotten much in terms of love, right? So I think it could definitely do with some more kind of recognition, especially in like recent memory. And then movie heroes, I mean, I feel like we've gotten some decent characters to fit into it, especially like during the whole kind of a 10th anniversary with like AGL Gogeta and stuff. But I wouldn't be mad at some more movie hero buffs as well. Movie heroes is always a fun team to run. There's obviously a lot of cool characters in it, like the physical Super Saiyan trio, Family Kamehameha Gohan, Beast Gohan, you know, so I wouldn't be mad at some more buffs. But yeah, I mean, you know, there's different opportunities like that. Obviously, when we look at the EZAs, they're still potentially due. We saw some of them being mentioned in the concept, of course. But, you know, if we look at like Namek, the problem with Namek Saga is, and I said it during that other vid as well, the problem with Namek is there are no Namek Saga EZAs from the period in time which is, you know, qualified to get said EZAs, though it would be usable, right? Because if you look at all these characters now, none of them are from Namek. That's the main issue when it comes to that idea for me. Obviously, you could throw in, you know, Tournament of Power Frieza, just say, hey, it's a Frieza, so it makes sense. You could throw in maybe, you know, some other characters, but it is kind of wonky, which is why there is some out of left field kind of ideas that are kind of just being thrown in there because of the sake of it kind of fitting in some way, shape, or form with either Goku or Frieza. Obviously, Tech Bardock is one of those ideas. For example, you have the Worldwide Celebration EZAs with like Birdku and the, you know, the Metal Cooler kind of idea. So you have those things. Part 2 being Resurrection of F. You know, obviously we have the EZAs for like maybe the Super Saiyan Blues right there, Golden Frieza. So there's all these different kind of options, these opportunities, but that is one kind of concern I will say for a lot of these different ideas that are kind of circulating for the Global Dokkan campaign is most of them don't exactly have a bunch of good quality, you know, perfectly kind of fitting EZAs to justify them being the theme, you know. And Namek is a great example of that, where Namek, there are no direct Namek characters who would potentially EZA. Ginyu was probably the last kind of real option, and then he was used right now. He's kind of been squandered in terms of an opportunity, and he's not even that good necessarily overall. So there's a lot of problems with that. But yeah, I mean, that's one of the potential ideas. Another idea, if I can go ahead and find it, it's going to be a bit tricky probably to find, but nevertheless, we can probably find it, is going to be Daima. I know it's going to be here somewhere. There we go. So actually, shout out to Nana. So Nana was the one who kind of posted here. Other people have been saying as well. But Daima is another really popular idea when it comes to what we could see for the Global Dokkan campaign. In fact, a lot of people have initially been going towards Daima, and then I feel like over time, different ideas have come since then, including the Namek idea. But Daima is the big idea that a lot of people are looking towards, especially because when you look at Dragon Ball Legends, right, who's like the competitor in the gacha game world for Dokkan, Legends has had Daima for some time, and a legit Daima kind of a category at that, a Daima tag, if you will. It's really good there, where they have Daima Goku, Tamagami number 3, Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, the adult version, of course, Majin Ku, Majin Du, Super Saiyan 4 Goku, of course, the adult version, Glorio, you know, Mini Goku. They have these Gokus, they have the characters, they have the moments. The only ones they're really missing, I guess, are like Kid Super Saiyan 4 Goku, Kid Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, and like Goma. I feel like that's the main ones, I feel like, but you know, they still have a lot. So the thing is, Legends has already touched on Daima for quite some time. Dokkan is due for some Daima recognition. It really is due in that respect. The only Daima characters that we have are Super Saiyan Daima Goku of our own. We have Glorio, which like both of them are really fun, pretty great, especially Glorio. And then we have the Kid Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, who honestly is not even that great. A lot of people do not like how he's designed and everything, so he's kind of a net negative for Daima in that sense. But we're still very due for a lot of these other, you know, Daima buffs, especially Super Saiyan 4 Goku. A lot of people have been waiting to see this happen. So, I mean, you know, Nano is definitely on a good point in terms of talking about Daima. Daima is absolutely due for some sort of recognition in the game. And I feel like the Global Dokkan campaign is probably the best opportunity for that, if not maybe like the 11th anniversary or some big celebration like that. It can't be a random release, but it has to be something huge. I've been saying there is a possibility that they could just work this in like they did for Dragon Ball Super Superhero during 2022, where basically if we look at the EZAs to kind of showcase this, they started off with like some of the characters with like the Gamma 1 and the Gamma 2, and then as they kind of kept through it, they then introduced the actual main characters for everyone with Ultimate Gohan and Orange Piccolo at the end of the year as the New Year's characters with being LRs and stuff. So they could do that with Daima this time around. That's my expectation, or that's what I think could happen. But if they're not going to do it like that, another great option is the Global Dokkan campaign without a shadow of a doubt. Now, the problem with Daima, and I've seen some people kind of just like go away from this kind of issue. The issue with Daima is more than Namek Saga, more than Resurrection of F, what do you put in there for the EZAs? Because Daima, we don't have a Daima category up to this point. So right now, if you throw in Daima, you need to justify it with some EZAs, some sort of upgrades, and a lot of these characters don't exactly fit Daima. Like, you're not going to put Raditz, you're not going to put Goku and Piccolo, you're not going to put Zamasu. It just doesn't make sense. Now, you could still do Worldwide Celebration EZAs, maybe just throw in some random choices. That could work. But, you know, for me, when it comes to possible EZAs, I guess you could throw in Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, because Giant Ape Power, maybe that'll work with Super Saiyan 4 Goku. That's one that maybe could work. I mean, honestly, even now, like trying to look at these ideas, I'm kind of hard pressed to figure out like what exactly would qualify for Daima. Like it is honestly pretty difficult. But you know, that's the one issue I see with Daima, is that if it is strictly a Daima only celebration, there really is not much in terms of EZAs that could work. So I'm kind of concerned about that. But some people have been saying, you know, the Super Saiyan 4 concept in general could just be applied. So we'll have to kind of wait and see. But, you know, Daima, it would be really cool to get Daima. I just am not entirely sold that would be the best course of action if it is just Daima on its own. In fact, I'll talk about my idea in just a sec, but I think it requires a combination of things that we've seen so far. Let me just put it that way. Now, another idea. This is probably the biggest idea I've seen like recently, just by like certain fandoms, is a combination of like GT and Daima specifically. And this is a very interesting combination, but I can see the reason behind it, namely being the concept of the Super Saiyan 4, because GT, you know, started the Super Saiyan 4, Daima brought it back, so there is some potential there. And honestly, I will say right now, looking at this graphic, this one's got me kind of hype, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I didn't really think about GT too much, but when you look at GT Heroes as a category, it's seen some buffs this year. Don't get me wrong, like, you know, the EZAs for the Saiyan Day character, not the Saiyan Day, but the Golden Week characters here with GT Goku and GT Vegeta, the EZA for the Super Saiyan 4s, the like 10th anniversary Forku, they're all fantastic characters. They're all really good. And obviously they are a part of what could be a very dominant team with GT Heroes. GT Heroes right now is still decent, I would say, to say the least overall, but there are still one or two pieces who are kind of weak, which are kind of holding it back in that sense. Like, for example, the GT duo here, Super Saiyan 4 Goku, they're just not good enough nowadays. So that's the issue with the whole kind of category. If we get some new characters, like for example, a new Gogeta, a new EZA maybe for the Int Gogeta right here, that would be pretty fantastic. There could be a lot of great potential in that respect. And then of course, you know, this is kind of showing 6 LRs because like one of the expectations of this whole kind of campaign is that we'll have 6 LRs like the 10th anniversary. You know, there is opportunities for GT boss characters, and obviously Goma, you know, Super Saiyan 3 adult Vegeta, who hopefully will be pretty cracked, you know, Super Saiyan 4 Goku. So there is a lot of potential here. The one thing I do want to kind of like key in on more than anything is GT bosses. I absolutely want to key in on this because we need to understand GT bosses. I've said it, I forget which vid I said it, but I remember saying it like a month or two ago. GT bosses as a category is just in the dumps. It's been a dumpster fire. It is just a category that can never get going despite having some really dope concepts in terms of villains. Like Super 17, even though the whole story may have been a bit of a fumble, he is still a very cool conceptual character. Omega Shenron, Baby, of course, you know, everyone loves Baby. Everyone feels like Baby carries the whole GT kind of arc or the story in terms of being a villain. So, you know, having Baby, having Omega, that'd be pretty peak. I'm not gonna lie, that'll be pretty fire. I don't know if it's gonna happen. I'm probably gonna say right now, this sequence is probably the one thing I am the least likely to believe will happen. Not in terms of it not being hype or anything, I just don't foresee them going towards the direction of GT and Daima. I feel like that's gonna be maybe a bit of a wonky kind of choice, but also to be fair, we have no idea what to expect. There's like 2 to 3 ideas that all could exist happily, and I think, you know, they all could work if Dokkan does the right work. If they put in the work, if they make it a good product, then all of these ideas could work fantastically. But for me, in my money's worth, I just don't see this happening as much as I could see a full-on Daima celebration or the Namek resurrection of FID. I feel like those are more popular in the grand scheme of things. Obviously, we have people, you know, trying to manifest the idea, of course, you know, people trying to throw out concepts for like different worldwide celebration EZAs and stuff. But there's a lot of different kind of hopes and dreams. Even some people are going for the Future Saga or like Cell Saga and stuff, which honestly, this is a rarity. I have not seen a lot of people really kind of going towards the direction of Cell Saga. So, you know, shout out to Slug right there. But you know, there are some really good ideas. I actually will say Cell Saga could be a really dope idea in terms of what we have for EZAs, because like you show right there, AGL Trunks is due, the Tech Androids, Future Gohan and Trunks. I mean, you got those characters right there. I mean, you got Goku and Gohan right there. They could technically fit as a Cell Saga related kind of focus. So there's a lot of different potential there. But yeah, this could be very interesting. But you know, for my money's worth, because we've been talking about all these different kind of community ideas, again, we have no leak or anything or no teaser from the development team for this, so we're kind of waiting in the dark. For me, what I believe to be the best potential idea is not necessarily the story of Frieza, but the story of Goku, which I understand. I'm a Goku fan. I glaze Goku, so like I'm gonna like, you know, support him all the way. But the way I kind of see it is, if you focus on the story of Goku, it allows for 2 very serious good opportunities. The first thing is it means you can justify having Namek Goku versus Frieza, right? You know, the Saiyan of Legend, breaking the barrier, whatever you want to call it. Goku does those things, becoming a Super Saiyan for the first time after, you know, thousands of years, so he does that. Obviously, you have Frieza, the iconic villain. You could do it like Frieza the Dokkan Fest, have Goku be the carnival, and then you can go into Daima for part 2, and then have Daima become, you know, the whole focus, Super Saiyan 4 Goku versus Goma or something of that nature. You could do it. And then of course, once again, Goku's breaking his limits, going to a new level, you know, so those are the ideas that kind of really kind of speak to me, is Namek into Daima. Now, granted, there is a lot of bias in this because I love Namek and I do love Daima. Actually, I've really enjoyed the story of Daima and everything in the show. It's fantastic. The animation quality's been beautiful. So to have both would be like the best of both worlds, you know, like it would be fantastic. But at the same time, like, my thinking is this is also the best course of action, because let's be honest, like, no disrespect to like Resurrection of F and the people who love that story, but Resurrection of F is not known for being the most popular Dragon Ball story, the most popular movie or anything like that. While it can work and it would kind of fit in terms of this whole battle between rivals and stuff, Goku versus Frieza, whatever, you know, it can fit. But it's not necessarily, in my opinion, going to rake in that much revenue or profit compared to Daima. And not exploiting Daima at this point in time, I feel like that could be a very serious mistake from the development side of things. Beyond that, you know, Namek, the way I see it is Namek is the reverse of that, where Namek is hype enough and great enough to draw in that revenue because it's a beloved arc for a lot of people. Obviously, Super Saiyan Goku's so clean, so people will love that sort of stuff. But also, the thing about Namek, unlike Daima, is Namek does at least open the door for some potential easy A's, where if it's a full Daima celebration, there is just no option whatsoever once again. So, you know, it is kind of like a weird balancing act. It is kind of tricky, I'm not gonna lie, because especially with that Ginyu Easy A, I wish they kept that Ginyu Easy A under wraps, because they just wasted a good opportunity for some Namek love just for the sake of making Ginyu and the Ginyu Force Easy A's really subpar in the grand scheme of things. So it's frustrating, but we're gonna have to wait and see what's gonna happen. There's just a lot of different hopes and dreams, a lot of different ideas. I know Miyato made a vid earlier talking about, you know, potentially seeing 6 LRs. For me, what I expect, I do think we're going to be seeing 6 LRs. I think we will see 6 LRs. My hope is that we would see 4, because I feel like with 4, it's easier to balance things. It's easier for me to have to avoid summoning so much. But I think if we're going to assume that this is going to be an anniversary scale celebration similar to the 10th anniversary, we probably will see the like 6 LRs. We'll probably see 6 LRs, a bunch of super easy A's, some free-to-play characters. I think it's going to be a great time, but we're going to have to wait and see, and hopefully it'll be a great time for sure. But anyways, that's going to be where we wrap up the vid. I did kind of yammer on a bit there, but let me know again in the comments down below, what do you hope to see in the Global Dokkan campaign? What do you think about the different ideas I kind of proposed here that the community posed? Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Again, if you guys enjoyed the vid, show your support, drop a like down below, subscribe to the channel. Of course, we are on the road to 1K subs. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.